When you're preparing for a speech to give to the Toastmasters Club, how is it that you prepare?
It's changed over the years. What I'm doing right now is I am figuring out what do I want my audience to get? What do I want them to feel? How do I want to inspire them? That's what I think about. Then I write out that speech. I probably write it out multiple times, and then I practice. What's really cool about me being a member of this club is I'm about 40 minutes away from home. So on the way to work and on the way back, I get a lot of practice time. That's pretty much how I write a speech.
And I'm sitting here with Anthony now, and we're going to ask Anthony that same question. Anthony, how is it that you prepare for one of your Toastmaster speeches?
Well, the first thing you have to do is you have to think of what your point is, what you're trying to get across, and you kind of build layers on top of it. So it depends a little bit on the topic, right? Suppose, for example, Star Wars came out yesterday. Suppose I wanted to do a speech on Star Wars. I would ask myself, what's the most interesting element of that I want to convey? Maybe it's the impact it had on sci-fi in movies. That means I had to do a little bit of research on that and kind of construct points from there.
Well, first of all, I am coming up with a message that I want to portray in my speech. And then from there, I'm writing and filling out our guideline that we have online at Toastmasters.org, I believe it is. Getting my thoughts organized that way, and I'm also communicating with a mentor to fine-tune the message and my speech.
So how do I prepare for a speech? To be honest with you, I do very little preparation for a speech. 90% of my topics are off the top of my head. I come up with a topic, I might do a little bit of research, but I infuse passion and heart in my topics and in my speeches. For example, my speech for the humorous speech contest was all about my Fitbit experience. And so with that, I just took, the knowledge, the passion that I had, or the lack of passion that I had for Fitbit, and did a speech out of it. So it's really emotion that I use for speeches.
In fact, in the beginning, I didn't prepare, and I went to a workshop in which they taught us how to prepare. So now I write out as I'm telling a story, and I write it completely out, and then from there I'll bullet point what I'm going to say and make sure that I have an introduction, the body, and a conclusion. So that's how I do it. Prepare.
Do you practice ahead of time? Do you practice in front of a camera? Do you just practice in front of a mirror?
I practice in front of my dogs. I have an audience of big
good
dogs,
audience, that's right.
So they're kind of friendly, and they're a good audience.
That's
and
excellent.
I practice.
Yes.
Over and over and over, so I fine-tune it and can think on my feet when I'm giving the speech.
That's excellent. Thank you, Mary.
You're welcome.
So when you're preparing for a speech, for a Toastmaster speech, how is it that you prepare?
Okay, thank you, Mark, for that question. The way I like to prepare for a speech is, first of all, I find something that I'm really passionate about and I have a lot of interest in. And then I go ahead and I actually write out a little bit of an outline. I figure out the meats and potatoes of what I want to talk about, and then I just fill in the little blanks along the way. That way, when I'm giving the speech, if I start to run a little bit out of time because I do embellish. If I embellish, then I can make sure I still hit my major points, and I can still wrap it up with a good conclusion and make sure everything is in there.
Oftentimes, the things that work best are either speaking from personal experience, personal story that you can relate to, something that you know a lot about, or something that you're passionate about. If you don't do those things, you're an actor, and a lot of people are not very good actors, but it's easy enough to be a good speaker. Now, personally, a lot of people will write out everything that they want to do, and in terms of a script, I'm not that kind of person. I'm more of a conceptual guy, so I write down a few bullets, a few phrases that I want to get out, and go from there.
When I'm preparing a speech, I like to use the POP method: purpose, organization, and practice. Purpose, I think about the audience and the message that I would like to convey. Would I like to inspire, motivate, persuade, or inform them? Next, organization. I create an introduction, body, and a memorable conclusion. Finally, I practice my speech to feel comfortable and know the time frame.
How is it that you prepare?
Well, the first thing I do is pick a topic. And then once I pick the topic, I start writing. I just do kind of a stream of consciousness, every thought that comes to my mind about the topic. And from there, then I kind of create bullet points, and then I actually start trying to write it. And all of that comes after having picked a topic, having done whatever kind of research I might need to do on a topic if I'm not really familiar with it. And then I just trust my instincts, and I'm going to say something that matters.
Anybody who's curious how I practice or how I get ready for a speech, I do write the whole thing out, generally almost like a script. I actually also include maybe little notes in there to pause. And I usually write it out probably about 3 or 4 different times, or at least make different revisions different times. And then I just practice. I practice. Don't know if it's the right way to do it, but it's just the way that's evolved in my efforts, and just, I guess, kind of works. I'm always looking for better ideas, though.